Alright, we got another Swiss Army knife video for you today. This is the Victorinox Cybertool M, sometimes referred to as the Cybertool 34. The Cybertool M boasts 32 functions, so I'm not quite too sure why it's called the 34. And those tools are mostly stainless steel, and we're going to go through all 32 of them briefly right now. I did want to mention that mine did come with this leather belt pouch. It's got a belt clip on it that's robust and does the job well. I didn't actually think this was real leather at first, but when I looked into it, it is. It's pretty nice. So again, this is a mostly stainless steel tools. It's a 91mm knife, 3.6 inches roughly, 91mm, and it's a 5-layer knife, so it's just over an inch thick. So we're going to go through it real quick. This is the translucent blue, and it has the plus scales. So the first tool we're going to talk about is the standard knife, the standard large blade for the 91mm. And then we also have the small blade on this Cybertool M. In order of listing, we have a corkscrew with a mini screwdriver on the inside. Then we have the awl, or reamer. Some people call that a punch and sewing saw awl as well. So it's kind of really all the same tool. Then we have a can opener. Standard can opener to the 91mm with a little tiny 3mm screwdriver. Bottle opener, also sometimes referred to as a cap lifter, with a 6mm screwdriver. By the way, that of course does have what's referred to as the wire stripper on that tool as well. And then we're going to go into the bit case, which is listed first. Here's the bit case, the bits in there. And then the bit wrench, which is actually a female hex drive, which is 5mm. You see that? This is important, pay attention here. It's 5mm, and that is for D-sub connectors. But then you see in the recess there, just a couple millimeters down, it turns into a 4mm bit driver for the size bits that go in the Cybertool. So, female hex drive, 5mm and 4mm. Then it does list the key ring, always as a tool. The toothpick. Standard 291mm. Tweezers. I seem to be having some trouble getting the tweezers out. It's almost like those are the wrong size tweezers meant for 58mm. Something doesn't seem right there. So we're gonna actually replace those. I don't know if there's something wrong with that one or if it's the wrong size, but I have my Victorinox maintenance kit here, self-assembled, that has both sizes of the tweezers. Small tweezers. Let's get some of these out. There we are. Much better. Pardon that little replacement repair test. So let's get back to the list here. The tweezers, which we just looked at. And then these are the plus scales, so it has the pressurized ballpoint pen. And then it has the pin here, which I just used without even thinking about it on camera to extract the tweezers, but just a little push pin. This one's been well loved, well used, and so it's a little bent, and we actually do have replacement push pins in our little kit here. but we're not going to bother replacing it at this time because it's still functional. So, after the pin, it lists the stainless steel pliers. Which are tiny little pliers. You won't be doing any major repair work with these pliers, but they do have some specific functionality, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. And then we have a wire cutter, which I believe it's referring to this tiny little groove right here as the wire cutter. I got some kind of unsightly piece of fingernail. See the things you can do when you're a small YouTuber? All right, and then the wire crimper right here, wire crimper or wire crimping tool. Then it has the excellent, where are they? Most excellent Victorinox scissors. These are some of the best small scissors out there, in my opinion. The multi-purpose hook, sometimes referred to as a parcel hook, which has quite a lot of functions I found, but we won't go into that now. I do like the hook myself. Some people don't, but I do. Now, let's get into the actual bits, what makes this a cyber tool. So, the bits themselves is we have a little Phillips number 2 bit with a slotted screwdriver at 4 millimeters. You see that? There we go. Number 2 Phillips 4 millimeter slotted screwdriver. That is 1 bit. And then we have the posi drive Phillips style. It really just, there we go. You see that? So bit Phillips 1 posi drive and bit Phillips 0 posi drive is what that's listed as. Then we have a Torx. What is that? A Torx 8, which is really great for knife maintenance. And then a 4 millimeter hex bit. So this is actually the Torx bit 8 happens to be the screw size that is in my EDC pocket folder, the Spyderco Canis. So if I need to do some maintenance on that, I can. So convenient. And then we have a dual bit Torx bit 10 and 15. 15 common on electronics, PCs, hence it being in the cyber tool. So that's all 32 of the tools listed for the Cybertool M. So there's that. Now let's talk about who is the intended target user of the Cybertool M. Well, it should be kind of obvious in its face, but I would think computer repair technicians, electrical mechanical test technicians, scientists, chemists such as myself, lab employees. I would be in this category because they're great for working on analytical instrumentation. Electronics hobbyists, which I also happen to be. I work on Raspberry Pis, Arduinos, lots of electrical little doodads and gizmos. I'm quite the tinkerer. And musicians, which I also happen to be. So I would be in 3 of these categories, arguably extending into the other categories as well. So what makes the Cybertool unique, that it has these features that would be good for those targeted people? Well, the T15 Torx screws common on PCs and electronic instrumentation. It's a good standard bit for both laboratories and electronics, repair shops. The female hex drive 5 millimeter for D-sub connectors. D-sub connectors are ubiquitous in computers, PCs, and electronics equipment. The small pliers are good for motherboard parts and other small electronics. They're great for pulling fuses, if you will, even. Push pin for reset buttons on electronics. A lot of, old school calculators and even in some cases small electronic synthesizers have reset buttons that can only be accessed very, very small push pin tool. The wire cutter, stripper, crimpers, and the small screwdrivers bits are handy to maintenance techs in general. So that's what I think makes this a unique tool for these particular types of jobs. Now, let's go a little bit into the history, because Amazon makes this really confusing, being that when I purchased this, it referred to it as the Cybertool 32, which has never been an official name, I don't believe. I know that there's been the 29, the 34, the 41, kind of the small, medium, and large, if you will, M being for medium. But again, 32 is kind of confusing, listed on Amazon. So here we're going to give you some information from the SAC Wiki, and we'll put a link down in the description if you want to go check this out. But the Victorinox Cybertool family are more recent 91mm Swiss Army knives, first introduced in the year 2000. There are or were 4 models in the family. The base model, the Cybertool M, which is this model here. This model is described in the tools section below. The Cybertool S, or 29, the Cybertool L, 41 for large, and the Cybertool Lite, which comes with one of those little flashlights in there. The unique feature of the Cybertool is the bit driver, which comes with 4 interchangeable bits, each with 2 heads. Many of the bits are designed for screw types and sizes commonly found in electronic and computer equipment. Yeah. See, that's pretty much what I said earlier. Making these models especially useful for people who regularly work with this type of equipment. When closed, 1 bit is stored in the driver itself, while the other 3 are housed in the special rack that fits below the driver. The rack has a small protrusion on the end that prevents the bit in the driver from falling out. All models have plus scales that includes a removable pen. See, the CT, S, and Lite appear to be withdrawn as of 2024. So this is more recent information that will hopefully help with some of the confusion that I experienced when trying to compare this to other models. Being that the current website, Victorinox, only lists the S and the L versions, that would lead me to conclude that they may have discontinued the M. I'm not 100% sure, but you can't order it from the Victorinox website. So they have gone up significantly in price on Amazon since I purchased one 4 years ago, over 4 years ago. So I've had a lot of use with this knife. I've used it in the lab, I've used it in my man cave, in my music studio. I've rewired my bass guitar pickup, not pickups, but the little pot where you plug in your 1/4 inch, guitar cable. Resoldered that, used this to take off the pick guard with all the screws, and it's a handy dandy little tool for somebody that works on instruments in general, whether they be musical or analytical. And that's the Victorinox Cybertool. So hopefully you like this video, and if you like this type of information on modern tools and gears, EDC items, shop tools, Swiss Army knives, give me a like and a subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.